Before we add the rest of our icons to our template to match the mockup, let's talk a bit more about how Font Awesome works and some alternatives. So first of all, Font Awesome is an icon font, but it also is a type of framework. So earlier we looked at the Font Awesome CSS, and if we scrolled all the way through this, it's pretty dang long. We have almost 1,800 lines of code. Now, all that we're using is just this font face part, and we're adding everything else ourselves. Now, if we included the rest of this CSS, we'd get some additional benefits. So if we go to the Font Awesome homepage, and we clicked on the examples section, we'd get a sense of what we had to work with. So here at the very top is one example. This is showing us something similar to what we have with our phone icon next to our phone number. Here it's a camera icon next to this text right here. Now if we included the entire Font Awesome CSS, we would be able to simply add the FA class along with FA Camera Retro class to get this icon here. Now you can tell, because there's no content in this I tag, that this icon is being added via CSS. So ultimately it uses the same approach as we do. Now the difference here between what we have and what's available to us in Font Awesome is that there are a bunch of these classes already created for each icon, which means that we can freely add icons to our content without having to mess with our CSS at all. So it sort of layers on top of what we have in our CSS. On the one hand, this can make the development process faster because we can do a lot more in our HTML without trying to figure out where we should add our CSS. But the downside is that now we have a whole bunch of CSS that we might or might not use ultimately. Also, because we're using outside CSS, we might find ourselves fighting with it a bit more. That is, we might find ourselves overriding the styles that come with Font Awesome instead of creating additive styles, which is our goal. Okay, but this is only part of what Font Awesome gives us. If we scroll down, we have another set of tools, which is the ability to resize an icon relative to the font size. So by default, we have this icon that's the same font size as the font, but we can make it a bit bigger, even bigger, bigger, all relative to the font size. So again, this is pretty cool to be able to just drop into our HTML and have a quick icon and resize it quickly without dealing with any CSS. And let's scroll down a little bit more. So another use case for icons is in a list of some kind. And as we saw before when we were creating our circle icons for our icon boxes, the characters themselves have variable widths. In the Font Awesome CSS, it has a class called FA-FW, which you can use to create a consistent size of the icon along with the spacing beside it so that the text alongside the icons is also aligned. So again, this is kind of a nice thing to know that we would have in our back pocket. We can scroll down and see that icons can be used in lists. So here we have an unordered list. We haven't talked about the unordered and ordered list tags yet, but this is what it looks like. It starts with a UL tag, and then it has list item tags inside, or LI tags. By default, in an unordered list, each of these list items would have a bullet on the left-hand side, just a simple black circle. However, with Font Awesome, we can add the class FA-LI, Font Awesome-list item, along with the base FA and the icon we want to use in order to change the icon in this list item. And there's a few more things we can do. We can create icons that pull over and allow text to wrap around it. There are animated icons for loading graphics, for example. You can rotate the icons and also stack icons along with other shapes. And this is something that we might find useful. So for example, here's FA flag on FA circle. So instead of us trying to figure out how to get a circle icon every time we need one, we can just quickly whip one up by using the classes that are included here. We can also put an icon on a square or slap a band symbol across an icon. This is probably my favorite part of the framework. And if you scroll down, it shows some examples of how Font Awesome is used in the Bootstrap framework.